as a man, when we were created by God, because as a Christian, that is what I believe, He created what is known as the alpha male. Now, the alpha male, if you look at the body shape, it is wide shoulders, it is a narrow waist, so it is like an upside down triangle. So this is what we're conditioned to look at and say, this is the person who is in charge.
So, wadau na wadau det, karibuni sana. If you're joining me, I guess you eager as me to learn. So, tuendelee na class. Like I told you, mimi niko class hapa hivi, so I'm just letting you in on my class as I learn on how to become a CEO, a better leader. Leo tumejipata hizi maeneo za Rongai. It's a beautiful place. It's called Empiri's House. It's a little getaway, so tuta hook up na contacts hapo hivyo chini, call them up, come check it out. It's a beautiful place. And ladies and gentlemen, today the guest I have, ukiona mimi kawaida ni msema t-shirt, mshanijua t-shirt na jeans, but leo ukiona nimepiga look hivi, today we are speaking to a gentleman whose profession is public image. So mtu yangu lazima ningepiga look. Ashok Sunny Suits, thank you for coming through. Mtaona to the full look pale Instagram or somewhere. Yeah, let's get to it. So our guest today is a trainer, coach and facilitator with his company Public Image, where he supports organizations and individuals for high performance. He has trained and worked with hundreds of individuals and teams, helping leaders, entrepreneurs, and young people accelerate their personal and professional success through developing effective communication and interpersonal skills. By helping them promote this emotional intelligence, leadership, and communication and executive presence skills, he has greatly increased their earning potential. That I want to do. He is a multiple TEDx speaker and a regular contributor in the media, giving advice on being seen, being heard, and being remembered for the right reasons. We're going to delve into that a lot. He has a degree from SHU University in the USA and studied for an MBA at the Helsinki School of Economics. That's in Finland. Acha tutamuuliza alikuwa ameenda kutafuta nini huko. He's a graduate of the Strathmore Business School and is a certified emotional intelligence practitioner with Genos International. He previously worked as financial analyst with Bloomberg in New York. Kula pose, mtu yangu. Please, if you don't know Bloomberg International, just Google Bloomberg. You'll be blown away. And risk analyst with EdHec Risk Institute in France. He was also a senior communication strategist with the London-based consultancy Africa Practice. You guys, this CV is so long, I could go on and on and on, but why not meet him, Derek Bbanga. I hope I got it correct. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
I hope I said your name. It has a double B. How do you say it?
It's pronounced Banga. You did
Banga.
pretty good.
All right. That is not a Kenyan name, is it?
You're definitely on the mark. Yes,
the
it's not a Kenyan name.
Yeah.
It actually happens to be a Ugandan name. So my father was, as it was, because he's the late, from Uganda.
Okay.
My mother's from the coast. Mrabai, kwa hivyo I have a little bit of both. Ugandan blood in me and Kenyan blood, but I identify myself as a Kenyan. When Kenya play Uganda in rugby, I support Kenya.
All right. Thank God for saying that. Hey, your dad, he must have done miles. That's amazing.
Right.
Thank you so much. There's this statement I saw you said somewhere that you like someone to be the orange shoe in a room full of bed shoes. What is that? What is that all about?
That was actually the title of one of my talks that I gave. And it really means creating a brand for yourself, a personal identity, something about you that stands out in a sea of sameness, particularly when I'm talking professionally. Everybody has a degree from some college or university, right? These days, even an advanced degree. Everybody has some sort of technical qualification. How do you stand out? How are you that orange shoe amongst the beige shoes? Something about you that people can identify. That your name is what comes to mind when they think of a particular skill. And that's truly, hopefully, how I live my life. And I would like people to do that as well. Yeah.
And for me, what really stands out about you is your profession. You're a consultant for public image. These are not jobs we were told when we were in school. You know, we were always told, be a lawyer, be a doctor, soma. First of all, that really stands out for me. And so the show is called Becoming CEO, but one of the other titles I wanted to name the show is Journeys of Successful People. Like, how do you achieve success? So for me, how do you become the top consultant in public image in Kenya? Like, what set you on that journey? How did this journey start for you?
Wow. I mean, that journey started a long time ago. And you know, you alluded to it. I mean, I went and I got my formal education, I got my MBA. You know, typically for someone like me with my background in finance, I would be working at a big bank or a large, you know, consultancy, one of the big five. Typically, that's the route I would have followed. But I think God was pulling me in a different direction. And I think what I do today, in terms of making an impact, certainly with my target market, is something that gives me more fulfillment.
All right.
Listen, success, it's a moving target, right?
Yeah.
You know that story that I'm sure you've heard before about the rich man who finds a fisherman and he asks him, okay, what are you doing? And then through that long story, I won't narrate it, but the fisherman keeps asking the rich man, and then what? So the rich man says, well, you know, buy bigger nets, get a bigger boat, get more fish, build a bigger plant, and then what? And the story ends with the fisherman doing exactly what the rich man had found him doing, which was sitting by the seaside, basking and enjoying the sunshine, creating free time for himself. So for me, success is not necessarily the destination. It's certainly part of the journey. But we wake up every day and want to be a better version of ourselves. We try to use emotional intelligence when we interact and when we are speaking to other people, when we're creating relationships. So whether it is through having greater self-awareness, whether it's through being more authentic, whether it's having greater self-management, something that we've needed this year, certainly in 2020, all of these skills are things that we wake up. And as I said, you want to wake up and having learned something today and wake up tomorrow and use that to make your life better. Yeah.
Were you always this confident? This dressing this sharply? Were you always this polished?
No, I mean, listen, I think there were hints of it when I was a child. Certainly I was brought up in a household where how you portrayed yourself to the outside world was important. You know, you went to church on Sunday and you wore your Sunday best. I grew up with that sort of a mindset. But I think over the last few years, I have developed a style or certainly an external representation of my brand that speaks for myself. So whether it's wearing the jackets and the suits and getting the tailored clothes and that sort of thing. And I also find that there is a direct correlation between that confidence that you're talking about and how you're dressed.
Right.
I think there is, if I'm at my lowest common denominator, and I'm not taking away from anybody, least of all the guys who are behind the camera today, like nikivaa t-shirt na jeans, I feel I'm not able to, siwezi kuongea hivi, you understand what I mean? I will lose some of my thing, but I think the more that I dress up, and again, for me, dressing up is a question of what works for me, what works for my target market. Not everybody would be comfortable perhaps dressing the way that I dress, but I find elevating my external look gives me credibility, certainly gives me confidence, and fills me with some sort of charisma. You possibly would notice me if I walked in the room and say, hey, you know, your mom and you know, that kind of thing.
And that is very important for a leader.
Yeah. And as a leader, you do want to stand out. You want to stand out for the right for the right reasons. And that halo effect, if you call it that, people think you have more knowledge. People think that you are smarter. I think there is that direct correlation between what you wear and how you are suddenly perceived by the world. Yeah.
I read an interesting statement you put out once about ladies who put on makeup. They move on, I don't know, they get their deals much faster, they move on in the corporate ladder much faster. Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me of that, Philip. That statement has come to haunt me several times.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
I've had several robust conversations with ladies who perhaps didn't quite feel
that was the truth. Yeah.
The way I felt about that statement. Listen, what I was trying to say was that, again, because we live in a world where first impressions, whether we like it or not, are certainly made on what we see, you know, that it would be remiss if you didn't take care of that, if you were looking for certain type of success. Now, this is a show about CEOs and successful CEOs are women just as men, or men just as women. And so what I was trying to say is that as a woman, again, how you portray yourself to the outside world, and makeup is just one facet of that. By no means am I saying that you have to wear makeup to be successful. But makeup does three things for a lady. Number one, a bit of color around the lips allows your mouth to be seen to be moving when you are speaking. And since I'm in the communications business, how I use my mouth, you notice I open my mouth, how I breathe is part of my communication skills. Because there's a lot of Kenyans who talk like this. So if you have a bit of color around your lips, which makeup allows you to do as a lady, actually the other person sitting across from the table from you, who you're trying to convince to invest in your organization, or to buy your product, or to take on board a skill that you're trying to do, is already a little further along that way simply because they can see the mouth move, and that is part of a communication skill. So that's the advantage. Because as men, certainly not to my knowledge, can we wear makeup, although these days we're there. So that was the first thing. The second thing, let me just quickly mention this. The second thing was eyes. Eye contact is important. You're looking at me, I'm looking at you as we're communicating. The cameras are on us, but I'm focused on you and I'm focused on me. That's part of my letting you know that I am present. Okay? Now for a lady, if you had a little bit of whether it's mascara, eye pencil, actually your eyes pop, they make it bigger. Eye contact is easier. Again, easier for me as I'm talking to you to say, you know what, I like what you're saying about your organization. This is my wallet. How much do you want me to write the check for? Third thing, flawless skin is something that ladies can have using foundation and using makeup. Part of this interaction is that we want to look as healthy and as robust and as confident as possible. And so just those three things in makeup alone for a lady would give you maybe an advantage or help. Is it the only thing? No. Am I saying that all ladies should wear makeup? I know. The ladies whose relationship with, well, and we're talking about this a bit, but their relationship with makeup is they grew up in an SDA home where they're told, imaneno sitaki wa nyumba, right?
Yes.
Because, so they may not be confident as adults wearing makeup. All I'm saying is that use all the tools at your disposal to get you ahead of life. We want you to be the orange shoe in a room full of beige shoes. And if that's going to help you stand out, then take advantage of it. If you feel you don't need to wear makeup, hey, listen. The world's your oyster. That's what I'm saying. And by the way, ni makeup professionally done. That's what I'm talking. Not kutoka hapa burudani. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. Right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about using it to
use all the tools at your disposal to get ahead in life. That's a lesson I'm going to come out of here with. Oh, man.
So I hope you really do selective editing on this conversation that we just had, so that I'm not confronted again and told,
Wait.
You're setting us back 100 years, telling us we have to wear makeup and high heels.
I know when it comes to ladies, it's always sensitive. It's interesting. I know I've told this story to a few people. I've never said it on camera, but one of the biggest contracts I've ever signed, I signed it because of the perfume I was wearing. Yeah, because we had a meeting. The boss on the other side was a lady, and I had done my pitch, everything. So as I was leaving, she said, "Excuse me, ikitu imenisumbua sana. What perfume is that?" I said, "It's a Tom Ford. Like, I love Tom Ford." And so I left. We had a follow-up meeting 2 days later. I walked into the room. She's like, "Can you smell it?" "Yeah, that's Tom Ford." I went and got it. Long story short, I signed a deal because of the perfume I had.
Sure.
And I had been told a lot about how to groom yourself and, smell good and whatnot. I'd never thought it's that important, but clearly it worked in one of my meetings. So yeah, so I truly support what you're saying. Truly support what you're saying. So as a kid, you're growing up, what conversations did you have with your father or with your mom that set you to be a leader?
I love that question.
Yeah.
I don't get asked that question enough. I grew up in a household where I was close to my parents, particularly my father, and he laid the marker early on in life. Time management. God bless our country. Time management. If we sorted that out, I think a lot of the problems that we have in this country.
I support you.
So that's something that I'm really grateful to him when it came to time management. Goal setting. Organizing, scheduling, diarizing, writing things down, journaling. These are some of the things that he encouraged growing up in the Bbanga household, which I'm thankful for and I use to this day.
Amazing. So in my conversation and just reading a lot and researching on great leaders across the world, a lot of them I noticed they were set up on this journey when they were very young. And I look at my background and unfortunately, is it Kenyan homes or African homes? We don't have conversations about money. The only thing we were told is soma kwa nguvu utapata kazi mzuri, but so for me doing this conversation is I'm hoping you at home you'll pick a thing or two and start having this conversation with your children when they're 5 years old, So that's amazing.
I think some of the things you're saying, certainly being exposed to, whether it's financial management, those are important.
Yes.
As a father, and as a father myself of a 2-year-old, I certainly hope that I'm going to be able to bring up my son with some of these values and principles. And it, because you mentioned that perhaps, you may have grown up and maybe those things were not, you were not exposed to them. You can still make a success of your life no matter what your child was. But certainly, if you are a parent and maybe you're listening to this, I think it's an important grounding for your children to begin to introduce them to some of those things. And, I talk a lot about emotional intelligence, for example. Self-awareness, awareness of others, self-management, emotional reasoning. These skills are not a nice to have. The future of work, Philip, is going to be so different. It is not going to be just your academic credentials or your technical qualifications that are going to allow you to rise to the top of the ladder. Today's CEO is not just about the smartest person in the room. It is the person who is able to use critical, I'm going to call them 21st century skills like negotiation, communication skills, these critical emotional intelligence skills, which by the way is being taught as a subject to kids as young as 6 and 7 years old in countries like Australia, Denmark, and Germany. Can I give you a story?
Yeah. No, I keep complaining about our education system. Sorry, continue.
I've shared this story. I recently was invited to speak at an emotional intelligence conference, if you will. I was a panelist. I was one of the participants, one of the panelists. And I remember that the organizers had invited, of course, different groups, and I heard that they'd also invited people from the ministry, or the government, I should say.
Yes.
So in that audience were head teachers of various schools, as you can imagine. A lot of people interested in emotional intelligence, which, as I said, is becoming not a nice to have, but a must have. But no government person, official, showed up. And in my mind, this was the conversation that I think that they must have had when they received these things. As a human and emotional intelligence, what is this? How is this going to help us? But in that audience were the head teachers of what private schools are near us over here? Brookhouse? The head teachers of Nairobi Academy. You understand?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's an anecdote to explain to you. Here are schools where if you send your children there, you're paying an inordinate amount of money, but you're paying because these are the skills that these teachers are going to impact. Versus a ministry that looks at a topic like emotional intelligence and says, actually, how is this helping us here? So, I don't want to belabor the point. Apart to say, this is the future of work in the 21st century. Believe it or not, Jack Ma spoke at the last World Economic Forum, held last year. Clearly it wasn't held this year because of a pandemic.
Yes.
He talked of three critical things that all organizations need to have. He talked about you need to bring emotional intelligence. You need to bring, he called it EQ.
Yes.
And you need to bring the LQ, which is the love quotient. And of course, you have to have intelligence. But he said those three things are needed in the leaders of tomorrow.
Wow. I am mind blown. Hey, do you have emotional intelligence? Oh, that's amazing. That is. Okay, so here's Philip, an upcoming CEO. He walks into your office. How does that meeting look like? How does it go? Because I want to know what you do exactly. And a lot of people, I'm sure, are curious. Yeah.
Okay. I think I can paint the scenario that you are looking for.
Yeah.
You're walking in as the head of an organization. You're looking to make an impact.
Yes.
You're looking to persuade people, to bring people to your side. You're looking to leave a very good impression. It starts with that walk, literally. Are you walking in with your shoulders rounded? Or are you walking with your shoulders up, I mean, kifua mbele, kidogo, you are a CEO.
Yes.
And if you're not the CEO of a company, you are the CEO of your body and your life.
Right.
So walk like you belong in this world. Not like, not like that you are a mistake. You are not a mistake. Everybody has a purpose on this earth. God doesn't make mistakes. So carry yourself like you would like to be addressed. And it starts with your body language. Shoulders up, chin parallel to the ground, good eye contact, okay? A nice walk or a gait, right? I'm literally painting the scenario.
Wow. All right.
Don't walk too fast, okay? So it starts with that. Because clearly, that first impression is being made consciously or subconsciously simply based on body language before you've even opened your mouth. Okay? Now, pre-pandemic, we would shake hands. I would literally spend in some of my classes deconstructing the handshake. I kid you not, Philip. It is a 1-hour tutorial on how to shake hands. Yes. But we're going into a new world.
Yeah, I know. So now you have to come up with one for a fist bump.
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing, I won't go into it, but literally, because that's the first skin-to-skin contact.
Right.
Immediately, you're making some sort of an impression, right? Okay. So we've touched a little bit on what you would wear. I don't know if you want me to expound on that a little bit, or
feel free. If you feel it's too much of trade secrets, I'm okay. But
no, it's okay.
Because there are a lot of leaders out there who are learning from this. So feel free. Yeah.
Okay. So your body language. You come in first of all. You good handshake. You will sit down. Even how you sit. Do you collapse like a buffalo that has been shot? Unajua, kuna watu. I mean, I don't know if you saw her walking. Somebody comes in, and you just unajibomoa like a sack of potatoes. I mean, how are you people going to take you seriously?
Yeah.
You got to carry your body like. So things like that. Just literally, even how you sit down. All of this is not an afterthought. You need to think about these. Because they're making some sort of an impression. All right? Yes. Even how you sit, your body language and all that. But let me talk a little bit about what impression you'd want to make with what you wear. And I'm not going to go as far as saying, wear this or don't wear that, right? That's a more in-depth conversation based on the individual. I will give you some markers though for men. Yeah. As a man, when we were created by God, because as a Christian, that is what I believe, He created what is known as the alpha male. Now, the alpha male, if you look at the body shape, it is wide shoulders, it is a narrow waist, so it is like an upside down triangle. Okay? That is the shape that all other human beings, men or women, are conditioned to look at and say, this is the alpha male, this is the, I don't know, apex predator. So this is a person. This is what we're conditioned to look at and say, this is the person who is in charge, just based on how we are wired. I actually gave a TED talk on that, the science of beauty.
Correct.
So, but not all of us, for one reason or another, have that clearly defined shape. Okay? But do you know that the clothes you wear can actually bring you back to what God had intended? So how do you get that upside down triangle shape? Wide shoulders, narrow waist. Well, this item of clothing that I'm wearing. Now, this is a jacket. It's not even part of a suit, but the jacket is designed to accentuate my shoulders, make my shoulders wider. Okay? If I button it down here, I unbutton it because I'm sitting, it naturally gives me that V shape that I'm looking for. So there are even things that you can wear, items of clothing that you can wear to define your body shape, to again, just move the scales a little bit in your favor. What you're trying to do is by the end of the conversation, the scales are so heavily weighted in your favor that that person is saying, we want to work with you. I want to give you this check. I want you to do it. And every little thing you're doing, body language, how you sit, how you talk, everything is simply moving the scales in your favor. And that's simply another one. Color is another thing, for example. Now, again, I don't want to get into the weeds in terms of color, more conservative, but you can even use the power or the psychology of color to help, again, make an impression on that person. And they don't even know you're doing this. Okay. And for women, it's the same. Again, I want to get into the body shapes of women, but there's certain things that you can do that can persuade and influence people without them even knowing. They don't know. They just know that they like this person or there's something about this person that is mesmerizing. Now, the pièce de resistance. You open your mouth and you talk. Sasa nakiongea hivi. I mean, people say, okay, he looks the part, but
the voice.
There's something, but
lakini sina bass. Sasa nitafanya nini?
And I'm glad you brought up bass, Philip.
Yeah.
Because deeper voices, absolutely, research has shown to be more persuasive. And so you can work on your voice. Even if you come from a part of the country where generally mnaongea hivi, you can still train your voice to bring it to us. Wow. Now, let's look at an extreme example. A lady, if you opened your mouth and you're a lady and your voice came out this deep, I might be a bit confused. But what we can do is we can actually train our voices, not just in terms of pitch, because that's what I was talking to, in terms of volume, in terms of pausing, in terms of all of the things that you can do, the rate of speech, how you influence certain words. So you notice, because my voice is trained, there's certain words that I will emphasize rather than certain words I will not emphasize. My voice is not monotone. Actually, all of this is part of my just persuading you. So all of these, and even my micro facial aggressions. Now, there's no mirror or anything here, but there's certain things that I'm trying to do with my face that are trying to lead you to the fact that, you know what, this guy is a likable character. I want you to believe me, I want you to like me, and I want to trust me. That's what I want from the two people who enter. Even one other thing that I'm subtly doing, and you might not notice this, but one of the things that I'm doing is I'm mirroring your body language to some extent.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So how your shoulders are like this,
Yeah.
you're putting your hands like this,
Yeah.
all of this is intended for me to bring you to my side.
That is very...
It is kind of spooky, right? Right, yeah. Well,
yeah, I know. It's okay.
so I think I'm answering the question, right?
Yes,
What
yes,
would
you
you do
are.
at the beginning
Yeah.
of our conversation?
Trust
So,
me. Yeah.
how's that?
Because, yeah, most of us are in that stage of life where now you're walking into boardrooms to pitch your ideas and your products. So you definitely want to win over everyone. Oh my goodness. Now I'll start practicing my walk, start practicing my facial. Oh my goodness. I have never. That's amazing. I am mind blown. I've been thinking I need to talk to Freddie. Freddie is my trainer. I think we need to do more on the shoulders. Yeah, after that conversation. So I'm curious. You look like a man who plans everything. So I'm curious about your day.
Yeah.
Like, what time do you wake up? Yeah, because I found that is very important. So how I call it time boxing. I box my time, like this number of hours I'm doing this. So how is your day typically?
You know, you said that successful people around the world, there's a blueprint. And I'll further add, the blueprint is already there. You are not reinventing the wheel. There's nothing that you can do that successful people throughout history have done. So whether it is a Mandela or a Gandhi, there are certain things that successful people have in common. I love what Robin Sharma, one of my favorite authors, says. He talks about successful people generally, most likely, usually get up earlier. Now, there are plenty of successful people who don't have to get up early, who don't, but generally. And you know, you may have a job that requires you to work at night. So waking up early is an integral part of organizing my day. I find when I wake up early, I'm able to set certain things in motion. Get up and have a glass of water, lemon, absolutely, replenish the body that has been dehydrated. Note, I didn't say get up and with one eye open, start scrolling through WhatsApp messages. As it says, Kinanani went up to me.
Yeah.
That is not what you should be doing. Glass of water. Second thing is some form of mindful practice. Some people might call it meditation, where you're bringing a focus to yourself. You want to be present in the moment with what you want to achieve for the day. Today, I want to have a successful interview as I travel to Rongai, and you're setting an intention. You can do that for a few minutes. It can be guided. I have a little device called Alexa next to my bed, which is an Amazon product, which takes me through these guided practices, not just at the beginning of the day, but the end of the day. Third thing that's important for me is exercise. Physicality equals mentality. It might involve going to the gym, or if I have a busy day ahead, no time to go to that gym that day, at least get up and bang out 50 push-ups.
50 push-ups. I am doing badly. Wow.
Some form of exercise to get the
Yeah,
blood flowing,
yeah.
I feel. Next, I'll probably take my regimen because I believe you are what you eat.
Yes.
And part of that is taking supplements. apple cider vinegar, a shot of that. Take my vitamin pills. As age is advancing, I certainly need those extra
All right.
extra supplements. And then sometimes I will have something light to eat. Most days I don't. Now, again, we can have a conversation about this, but there's a lot of people who feel that they need to eat something. I don't. I actually believe in something called intermittent fasting, which means I don't eat in the mornings.
Yeah, it's okay.
I kind of like to be, how do I put it? Because when I don't eat, I'm not upset, but I'm kind of lean, mean. I feel like I have a little bit more focus.
Right.
Okay? The blood is in my head right now, this conversation. Not working on my huge sausage na mayai na chapati in my stomach. You understand?
Yeah.
So, but that's just me. So, coffee. Regrettably, I am addicted to black coffee. My doctor, we've been having this conversation. He says I drink way too much coffee, so I'm trying to reduce. So this is what gets me going. Okay. We're talking about organizing my day. Yes. So you already see I've done that.
Yes.
There is a military man, general in the States. I believe his name is McCraven. He talks about when you get up in the morning, make your bed. That is your first win. And I'm sure you've heard this.
Yes.
Make my bed. Again, that's actually something that came from my father. But that's my first win of the day. Even if my day goes downhill, I'll have that one success story. Okay, I've done a few things. Maybe I did my push-ups, but making my bed. Okay. I am now a huge scheduler. Google Calendar is my best friend, as they say. So everything is in my diary. And with Alexa, so Alexa will literally call out the appointments that I have, but they'll also come up as a notification. So I know 9 o'clock, I have to be somewhere. 10 o'clock, I have another Zoom meeting. And of course, for the last year, most of my meetings have been at home.
Yes.
But having them in the calendar and actually sharing that calendar with people in your life. So for example, Phil, you would share it with your partner so that they can also know that between 9 and 11, this is what you're doing. Not a phone call, not a WhatsApp message, but in the Google Calendar that you can share or send to them. So it is a little bit like the military where you sort of plan the day. Again, I've set up Alexa to give me notifications, to remind me to drink some water, to take a break, to turn off my devices. And there are plenty of apps that can help you with that. The digital detox, I think, needs to begin for all of us, where we need to spend less time on these devices, which are heightening our stress, which are making us less resilient and more anxious.
It's something you mentioned, I think is also very key and important. You just said for the last 10 months, you've not had human interaction. I know that, because that for me was... yeah, I'm so sorry. But it's because for me, I'm also very keen on just having me time, like where I go away for like a whole weekend and I have no human interaction, no devices. I don't know, is that something you practice? And you know, and what you've just mentioned, you know, detoxing from these devices, you know.
So I don't go on those silent retreats where you would necessarily have to spend an entire weekend without your devices, but I practice them in moments during my day. My phone's not here, for example, not if so as much as I can keep it away during the day, when possible, I do. I'm in a meeting, my phone is nowhere to be seen. It is turned off, I'm not even thinking about it. I'll address my messages or, later. But yeah, the digital detoxification, I'm sure everybody at this point is either aware of or have watched that Netflix documentary, which was revealing. I had actually been talking about this, the manipulation of these huge companies in terms of the algorithms to get you hooked up to Instagram and some of these social media platforms. So just being a little circumspect and judicious with every time that you're on a device, do you really need to be? I think is good. I'm certainly not here to preach to people and tell them, turn off your phones. Phones are an integral part of our lives. But just be a little bit judicious in terms of their usage.
I think this has been enlightening for me, and I am. It's okay. I'm definitely going to look you up because I think I also need that whole public image. Yeah, I did. Definitely. Thank you so much for your time. I don't know, do you feel there's something you'd want to speak to? Feel free.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think I had touched a little bit on the emotional intelligence.
Yes.
I think in fact, you did ask me that question about how, or you let out the fact that I've spent the last 10 months sort of living in my bunker, so to speak, my house. And that's just personally. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 that the sky is falling, I'm at an 11, but that's just me personally. There are plenty of people who are like, wewe.
Yeah.
Toka kwa nyumba tafadhali. So, but I'm not there quite yet. Once I get the jab, I'll be good to go. Actually, I'm here today, so this is a great first step.
Yeah.
But I think the point I'm trying to make here is that resilience, managing stress, and self-management, I think, are 3 critical skills all of us need. Professionally and personally. We've had anecdotal evidence of marriages that are falling apart. People who are committing suicide because the last 10 months have been overwhelming.
Yeah.
And this is why I said these EI skills or EQ skills are not a nice to have, they're a must have. You've got to begin cultivating the ability to bounce back, that resilience, activate it. And you can activate it by doing simple things: mindfulness, writing things down, gratitude practice. I was actually had a wonderful Zoom meeting yesterday, which ended with a gratitude practice, where you simply just close your eyes and you intentionally thank whomever for certain things going right in your life. Actually, would you mind if I took you through a quick gratitude practice?
Okay.
And listen, this is for everybody who's listening to this. This is something that you can do throughout your day, at the end of your day, every time you do it. So let me take you through this quick gratitude practice.
Okay.
You don't have to close your eyes for this, actually. Because the tendency is if you close your eyes, you might drift off. But we don't want you to drift off.
All right.
But I just want you to think of someone in your life that means the most to you. Okay?
All right.
Well, first of all, let's start by getting comfortable.
Okay.
You're not that you're uncomfortable. Put your feet, relax them on the ground.
Yeah,
Put your hands where they're comfortable. I want you to relax your face. So you know, a lot of us, our faces are. So just relax your cheek muscles. Let your mouth relax.
Okay.
Let your shoulders relax. Let your hands relax to where you're comfortable. All right? Okay. Just let that tension that accumulates maybe in your gut or your stomach or your thighs, just let it relax, seep out of your shoulders. Okay, that's number 1. Now, think of this person who means the most to you in the world. Now, I want you to put your hand on your heart. So that would be your right hand for your left chest. And I just want you to think of this particular person and the things that they do to you in your life and why they're important. And now I want you just thank this person. As you think of that person, I just want you to be filled with that sense of gratitude in terms of how important this person is, how much they mean to you, what they do to you. But be very intentional because your hand is on your heart. Okay? Just try imagining a life without that person. What would it be like if they were not there? And the fact that they're there and the things that they do. Okay, we can stop right there, Phil. I didn't want to take you through the full gratitude practice, but the fact that you have been filled with this emotion because of thinking of that person, do you think that this might give you some impetus towards the next task that you have to do? Gratitude practices are so important because not only they give you that impetus, they actually make you less stressful. They remind you of what is important in life. And it can be a gratitude practice like that. It can be as you're washing your hands. Just thank the Uber driver or the Jumia delivery guy for the work that they're doing. So practices like that, gratitude practices. I think I mentioned journaling, where you write down your thoughts and your feelings at the end of the day. We need to expand our emotional vocabulary. That's part of the emotional intelligence I'm talking about. So at the end of the day, whatever emotions that you have felt, write them down and then examine them. I felt anger today. I felt particularly with the non-productive or the strong emotions. And then examine, why did I feel anger? What was it that brought me there? What could I do differently? Is this a recurring pattern? Is it a person or a situation that constantly drives me there? Is this how I want to live my life? And what can you do differently? So practices like that this is about CEOs, but we are all leaders.
Yeah.
And just beginning some of these, I call them small, but they're really not small. They're important things. I'll just mention a few quick others. Exercise, for sure. Regular exercise. You can go to the World Health Organization website and they will tell you that you need a minimum of at least 75 minutes of moderate to high intensity activity every 5 days. So it's not just me saying that. This is what people are saying. Okay? Watch what you eat and what you drink. You are what you eat and what you drink. I'm not going to go into a whole soliloquy about what specifically you should be avoiding. But I am alarmed by the number of KFC joints that are opening up in Nairobi. I'm just saying.
I keep saying, if I was the president of this country, I'd be shocked. Because for me, I'd just say, okay, fast food restaurants will only be open on weekends.
Right.
Yeah, but
So things like that. Just be careful. And of course, when it comes to drinking alcohol and things like that, again, just you've got to help yourself. And helping yourself in those moments will help you when you really need them. When you are talking to somebody and you're in a situation, you're trying to get a job, you're trying to convince them, persuade them to invest in your idea. And then finally, one of the things that the last 10 months has taught us is that it's about connecting with other people, relationships. Now, I've lived in my bunker, but I have developed my relationships virtually, believe me. Reconnected with my family in a strong way, connected better with my professional colleagues, and even expanded the people that I can, because now I can talk to anybody in the world in any time zone, because all I need is a good Wi-Fi, enough bandwidth. And that's something that I've taken as a silver lining during these last few months. So, yeah.
Plus you're an average of the people that you connect with, yeah. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Me, ukiwa pale home, sijui kama umelan kitu. For me, this has been an eye-opening class. I just hope it's been the same for you. So yeah, let's continue this conversation. Tutaita University of Philip if anything, Me, I'm in class. I hope you're also in class. Thank you again. Amazing. So yeah, shoulders. Takwa naangalia sasa hizo shoulders. Asante sana.